真正建立起阴阳的这个观念是11岁，因为我11岁的时候，1974年。要代表中国的武术去美国表演，包括后来剑击克松啊什么的。
So Jet Li's been doing kung fu since he was 8. This interview really dates him. It makes you realize, man, he's been on this world for a while. I remember when I was young, I thought Jet Li was so young, but it shows all of us, we get up there in age. There's a story that apparently Nixon asked Jet Li if Jet Li wanted to stay in America and be his bodyguard. I don't know if in jest or for truth. Now, this interview with Jet Li is on Tai Chi, and it was an interview in the mid-2010s. Now, at this point in China's history, the supreme leader, his name was Hu Jintao. Under him, discourse in China was slightly more free. So you'll see some of that here.
那我们出去有半年时间的去思考，就训练、集中表演。那个时候，中美两国是几乎不来往，乒乓外交之后还没有来往。所以我接受了一连串的教育，我也坚信这个教育是正确的。但是我们到了美国之后，我实在看到的东西，就像今天的中国一样，咱们就一种冰激凌，一种汽水，是吧？花生仁、瓜子仁是过年的时候2两，花生仁1斤瓜子。那样一桌子都包好了的花生仁，一包好了的瓜子，完了以后包好了的那么多冰激凌，10几种让你选。对于一个11岁的孩子说，他是坏的，他是错的，他是反动的，他是资本家的，剥削来的。我就没大想明白，我就觉得挺好吃的，挺好。
It's hard for a lot of us watching to imagine what it was like in the 70s to come from China over to here. It must have felt like night and day, and Jet Li captured that feeling. I've heard similar stories of Soviet defectors that came over, and when they first went to the supermarket, they thought it was fake. All of the stuff in the supermarket was put there to make America look good. And then they realized, oh, you can actually purchase everything. What I love about this segment is that Jet Li is subtly criticizing what became of China under very harsh authoritarian communist rule. But the way he frames it, he's very creative. It's like the young me thought this way, the young me was told this. So there's always a little bit of plausible deniability. I would say that the Chinese language and the Chinese culture is a little flexible in how it works. Since the beginning of Chinese history, they've always been a little bit more collectivist and authoritarian. It makes it so you have to always give yourself a backup. You have to give yourself room to fall, right? So you can't fall on your face. You have to fall in a way that you don't completely land and hurt yourself. I love that Jet Li's sharing this story. Being interviewed in Chinese like this, he has to leave himself a little bit of leeway. Well, I was just talking about me when I was a kid, you know. Obviously now I don't think so, right? You give yourself leeway. Jet Li became a superstar at such an interesting time in China's history. Jet Li was getting famous as China was opening up. So Jet Li has some stories, man. I'm telling you, not just this interview, which I promise you guys I'll translate more, but the more we can look into Jet Li's life, the more stuff he can share, I'm sure we'll have a very cool lens, a certain cap to look at the world in.
那我觉得不止我在说这些东西还不错，连大人也在那说不错，但是不是当着面说。所以我就觉得说，从11岁开始，我就觉得说，我不再相信大人说的话，我一定要思考，我一定觉得是有人在手心说手心的事儿，有人在手背说手背的事儿。
So the last part he talked about 手心 and then 手背. So this is just a Chinese expression to me. And okay, people talk about different things and in fact might even tell lies depending on the situation. But in case you guys wanted a Chinese lesson, 手心 your palm, 手背 the backhand. You can't take things always at face value, right? And that's what Jet Li learned at such a young age. And what's funny is, again, he has to be careful. He can't imply this is talking about the authorities, right? He's just talking about, as a kid, I'm thinking about adults. We can see what ultimately drove Jet Li potentially to Buddhism. From a young age, he's a guy that had a lot of thoughts. He's a guy that really wanted to read. We're going to find that out later. He really wanted to read and study. But anyways, how does this deal with Tai Chi? Okay, let's keep watching.
这是我11岁。
那个时候手心和手背怎么和阴阳连在一起呢？
因为我们这个地球啊，现在来讲，我们这个地球的组成 基本人类生活的环境就是相对的一个环境。那之后是无极啊，那之前一有太极就是有天有地，有男有女，有冷有热，所有相对的这两个形容词，每个人都熟悉是吧？相对的两样事物，相对的两个个体就是阴阳两面，也就是中国人一定说中国人的好，美国人一定说美国人的好。但是我的祖先太厉害了，他画了一个圆圈以后画了一个眼儿，黑的，画了一个圆儿白的，完了他把黑里头弄了个白，白里弄了个黑，这就让你思考。没有谁是全对的，它是可偏移的、可变化的。
See, as someone that grew up with Chinese culture, I've seen the yin and the yang, right? That symbol. Until Jet Li mentioned it, I've never thought about, yeah, within the two colors, there's a little round opposite color. And so that's a really interesting way to look at all of this. And for those of you, again, asking, why does this apply to Tai Chi? Tai Chi is not just Tai Chi Chuan. It's not just about fighting. Just like Kung Fu, the original word for Kung Fu, Gong Fu, is not just about fighting either. It's a way of life. And Gong Fu, Kung Fu, means through persistent hard work, you achieve a result. So what Jet Li is basically doing is taking the other word that often gets associated with fighting, and he's trying to apply it to life. That's kind of brilliant. You could almost say, and this is applying Hegelian dialectics / Marxism, Jet Li is actually being a very good communist here. He's applying dialectical thinking. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but this is what Marx based a lot of his philosophy on. Got one point, you got another point that these two often contradict. You then create something else from it. And then what Marx loved to do is from a synthesis, you would get another thesis and an antithesis. You would think of these dialectics as continuous. Every synthesis would lead to more branching dialectics. So Jet Li's almost applying this sort of Hegelian dialectic into Tai Chi. He's trying to use it as a starting point to think about how to live life, how this world works.
是我听过一句话，就是哎，练体育的头脑简单，四肢发达。这句话影响了我很久。就是这帮人是没脑的，就是对吧？头脑简单的，四肢发达的。那我就在琢磨这句话，琢磨很久。当然又后来不知道哪个年龄段，我又听到一句话，说练武术的叫一介武夫。但我又在想这件事。
这句话里面其实也是含有对他知识上的缺陷嘛？啊，对。
所以我从小对这两句话我就很深。那我就那个时候我就告诉自己说。我也不知道为什么这么想，我说一个武者必须是一个智者，如果没有智慧，永远都被人当一武夫。武夫的给我觉得再等于后边就是一个听话的猎狗，就是一只狗要干嘛干嘛的那种概念。所以就从那个时候我就开始看书，我的同学都在骑自行车、游滑冰、打乒乓球玩。我就去看书。
You see why I want to translate more of Jet Li's stuff? This guy thinks, man. You can tell he has always been a thinker. You can even apply this. Athletes, their minds are simple, but their limbs are very powerful. So that means there's also people who their minds are very, very powerful, but they don't have much strength with their limbs. So maybe we could create something together, right? we're applying Hegelian dialectics to what Jet Li thinks. There is a truth to that dichotomy. Even in America, for example, right? There's the nerd, there's the jock, right? So there even is that in the West. What I didn't translate is that Jet Li started reading a lot, and he admits he read a lot of Marxist philosophy. I'm kind of being hyper-philosophical, guys. I made a new word by using Hegelian dialectics to explain how Jet Li's interpreting Tai Chi, but Jet Li's the one that really read up on Marx and Hegel and all that. He took that yin and the yang and he thought about the symbol and he started really applying it to life in a broad way. And I think beyond just the martial arts, you can use things like the yin yang from Tai Chi for a way of life, because concepts like these, like Kung Fu, like yin yang, like Tai Chi, they go centuries, if not millennia. Actually, I don't think many people watch this channel know, but I am an Ivy Leaguer, so I can go very deep here too. This video probably didn't go in the direction that you thought. I wasn't expecting him to talk about this stuff. I thought he was going to talk about Tai Chi as in Tai Chi for fighting, but instead he got really deep into philosophy. Anything that's martial arts related, we talk about, including some of the concepts from martial arts that extend beyond martial arts, or martial arts are only a small part of that concept. So we'll definitely explore more of this. And guys, this is a 5-hour interview. So if you guys want more, I hope this video does well. Beyond just liking, subscribing, if you're not subscribing, commenting, sharing this. If we really want to apply the yin-yang in Jet Li's interpretation, how about all of you reply to 4 comments that you like, and that one little circle of the opposite color, debate 1 comment you don't like. How about that? Look at that. We went all meta today. Okay, guys. Fight Commentary Breakdowns out.